Hey all, it's Vanessa Love. All right, so I got this question this morning and I thought that I would answer it. And it was, do I regret getting my degree, my master's in art therapy? And yes I do. So let me, first say, no one would have stopped me from becoming an art therapist. I was so determined when I was younger, and I didn't have people who came to me with a caring, like sat me down one on one, caring tone. Hey, are you sure you want to do this? Are you sure that there's a job market? And are you sure that this is going to be everything that you thought that it was going to be? Please research this. Because I think if someone came to me and said, art therapy really doesn't have its own license, it doesn't, you're not going to be able to go into private practice by just having art therapy. You have to have something else with it. And I don't want to see you suffering. And I don't want to see you, have to do a job that you really don't want to do just because, you might have to work at a facility. Now, if someone came to me with that information and they had said that, I might have reconsidered because I thought that I would be in private practice and I wanted to be in private practice. And, I I don't like that I have this, and I don't like that no one told me what entirely I was going to expect. And I loved being an art therapist and I loved learning about art therapy, but I appreciate so much that the program that I went to also trained me for the LPC because the LPC was covered by insurances. And it wasn't until after I graduated that any of that became very clear to me. And I think that that was very deceptive and it's very upsetting to find that out after the fact. I had emailed my professor and I had said, okay, so, I'm kind of like leaning towards doing the LPC, but, what about doing this ATR? And she was like, oh, no. ATR is actually not a license. It's only a recognition in the field. I probably went through a grieving process after I found that out. A recognition in the field that has the exact same requirements as a licensure that doesn't actually get me any money, and I have to pay an extra $100 every year in order to have these added letters at the end of my name? No. This is why I made that decision to only focus on LPC and not focus on the ATR. Now, I guess if I wanted to ever, get out of private practice and go into, state work, which I didn't even know that there was art therapy jobs in the state, I always assumed that there were really no listings for art therapy jobs anywhere whatsoever. I know two people working in the same facility who, they were hired as art therapists. I have no other people who I know who are working in the art therapy field in a facility. When I worked in the hospital in Westport, they did hire art therapists. I don't think that they have specifically it listed as an art therapy job. It's a rec therapist job, and you kind of have to research entirely what it can include, and it can include an art therapist. I don't know if they have to change now because of the new regulations with the ATR, but I actually didn't know that there was any jobs other. As I said, Veterans Hospital, which is already cared for the next, probably 15, 20 years, because I don't think that the person who, took it over, I think she's 45, so if she, keeps that job for the next 20 years, just like her predecessor, then, she's going to have that job for the next 20 years. That job isn't going to be open for a long time. There might be other programs through the VA, that's the Veterans Administration Hospital, that's what we call it, the VA, that might come up between now and then, but for the most part, this job it's done, it's over with, it's spoken for years. So I didn't know that until someone said it to me, and they kind of said it to me rudely. So it's not really something that is like the best way to get that information. And that's it. That's all the jobs that I know. I saw one of my friends or colleagues had posted one job near where I used to live, and it was for an LPC ATR. You had to have both in order to apply there, and not many people were going to apply to that actually, because most of them don't have their ATR because, as I said, it's not worth it. So 3,000 hours plus the supervision, and you had to like travel to an art therapist to get the supervision, and it can only be one-on-one. So like the benefit of doing like a group supervision, excuse me, is that it's usually like a lower cost because the therapist doesn't have to spend as much time, and can like devote more time to having the supervision, but with the restrictions, you have to have a one-on-one supervision, as far as I know. I chose the LPC because I had to receive supervision from the practice owner anyway, when I was in that group private practice, and so I worked with him to get the LPC. What one of my colleagues told me today was like, yeah, you're not going to be able to, with just the ATR, go into private practice unless you pay someone. And this used to happen to social workers too. Unless you pay someone to work on, like, you would basically be working under their licensure, and not actually like be someone who will be able to be on insurance panels independently from a supervisor, if that's what you wanted to, if private practice was something that you thought that you could do with your ATR. And so, as I said, I feel very misdirected. I felt very lied to, and I mean, it sucks. There were other lies too. Like the program that I went to was not, it's called KCREP. It's like Certified Institution of Educational something or other. And it's not KCREP, like, approved. So now that I can accept insurances independently with my LPC, TRICARE, which is the veterans, usually veterans in active military have that, they require that I have a doctor supervise me. And when I said I'm independent, I don't have a doctor to supervise me, they said, well, you need to fill this out or else you don't get paid. So find out who their doctor is and then just like, put that doctor's name down, which is not appropriate. It's not very ethical. And it's a lot of pressure on me to do something that I don't feel comfortable with. I asked one of my doctor friends if they would be willing to put their name and, there's a specific number that you get when you're a provider, and to put that number down. And he said, absolutely not. I can't do that right now. And I'm glad that, he was protective of me and he didn't want me associated with his name while he was being under investigation, whole thing, so I'm glad for that because he did protect me, but, kind of left me in a place where I'm doing what they're telling me to do, but I don't feel comfortable doing it. And if I just gone to a KCREP, place, then I wouldn't have had that problem. I also have to, TRICARE laws have changed, so now I can be on their, on their list of providers without a medical doctor over me, but I have to take a test. Lovely, isn't it? Yeah, wonderful. Not entirely what I'm looking forward to, and I did take that test, and it was a very hard test. I don't know what they're really entirely testing. As I said, it was a very difficult test, and I have had plenty of practice tests, and first time around, I always get them wrong. It's very clinical and very like, I used to take tests well, so I don't even know what's going on. Like, it's a very, like, um, it's oddly written, and there's always like you know, like some twist in there that I'm like, you don't even do that. You don't even do that. Ugh, yeah. So, as I said, I do regret it. I am working on changing that because I do want my license in New York, and I don't want the creative arts therapist licensure. I want the mental health counselor's license so that I can get reimbursed by insurances. All right, that little noise meant that it is on the hour and I have to go. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to talk with you soon. All right, bye.